Is Taylor Swift officially gone MAGA? Did we overthrow the king? We have so much to get into. I've got two very spicy guests on the show today. I know you're going to love them because you loved them last time. I hope you're ready for it. Let's dive in. This is No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, serve fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. And dive in we shall. I'm bringing back two of your favorites back on No Filter. They were on a few weeks ago talking about Charlie Kirk, and today we're going to get into the Taylor Swift of it all. We're going to get into the No Kings protests. Harry Sisson, I'm sure one of them would love to top him at some point, but please welcome on Shawn on the right and MericanDavid. We have David Leon and Shawn Fahey.
I don't know about Harry Sisson. I'm gonna say,
yeah. Can you don't? I don't want to be in that group.
You don't like doming some beta energy?
Listen, not with Harry. Not Harry Sissy. I'm not into sissies.
Yeah, not for me either. I'll keep an arm's length away at least, but who knows? I mean, I guess never say never.
Never say never. Well, okay. So then there's hope.
Perhaps maybe one day if he gets very, very lucky.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's been going a bit viral lately. Maybe that's where we'll do a quick starter on Harry and then we'll get into the Taylor of it all. But Harry, did you guys see Harry on Piers Morgan?
Yes, I did. This was a good one. His facial expressions alone fit. You could make multiple memes out of.
This is so good. I'm loving this.
People are okay. So here, let's actually play the clip from Piers Morgan because it was actually it was funny. He was trying to make a point about how I guess people on the left never actually said or compared Trump to Hitler, and he's like, he did a whole Sutton Strack name a moment, and he's like, name all the people that have ever talked about Trump being Hitler. It's never happened. And so then he was very very quickly schooled when they actually named him.
Answer the question about whether or not a high-ranking Democrat has used this rhetoric. Who is Kamala Harris?
I know. I want you to answer all the questions. I want you to answer all the questions
for you. Who is Kamala Harris?
Wait. Answer all the questions I just gave you. And can you name me when Kamala Harris said that Donald Trump is Hitler? When did Kamala Harris? Great.
Was Kamala Harris last year a high-ranking Democrat when she was?
When did Kamala Harris call Donald Trump Hitler?
October of 2024, Kamala Harris said on the campaign trail, Donald Trump vowed to be a dictator on day one. His former chief of staff said he wanted generals like Hitler's. Donald Trump openly admires dictators, including Adolf Hitler. Last October, that was said on the campaign trail from the Democrat.
So Kamala Harris said this during the campaign, during the closing days of the campaign. It was her final campaign pitch. Is that high enough ranking for you? You guys supported her for president.
Exactly, because there have been reports
the person
that Donald
that you
Trump
supported for president is someone
just relax,
who
Jack.
was campaigning by calling Trump Hitler.
Jack,
you're so disingenuous when you bring this stuff up. You can't even acknowledge the fact that your own candidate was on the campaign. She's got a video about it. It's on her Facebook. Or it's on her Twitter page.
Let me offer one here, which is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton literally compared Trump's rally in Ohio last week to Nazi leader Adolf Hitler's speeches. Speaking of the Texas Tribune Festival in Austin, she made reference to Hitler's speeches, which saw people raise their right arms in the air in the Nazi salute. I remember as a young student, trying to figure out how people basically got bought in by Hitler, she said. How did that happen? I'd watch newsreels and I'd see this guy standing there ranting and raving and so on. It happens all the time.
Happens all the time, but not according to Harry.
Well, it was a typical thing.
They love to just...
It was. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
It was a typical bait and switch on Harry's part. He throws out. It's a typical Democrat debate strategy. He throws out 4 questions and he wants all 4 of them. He wants you to hit all 4 of these points. It's like, no. Your point was is that no one on the left calls Trump Hitler. And here's an exact example thrown out literally down to the day. And he's like, exactly, but answer all the questions. It's like, no. And on top of that, like, this is beside the point, actually. Like, if we actually want to make this point, we had Tim Walz on stage saying to, I don't even want to say it, but to pew pew him. Like, we had so much violent rhetoric on the left calling for violence. And this has been going back. The first one that comes to mind for me is the Maxine Waters in LA. If you see him at the gas station, get out of your car and yell at them and tell them that they're not welcome here. If you see him at a restaurant, this has been going on. It's just been ever so escalating. But beside the point that Trump has been called Hitler by multiple leaders within the Democrat Party, he's also been accused. They've told him pew pew him. And 86-47 and all of these other things. So it's beside the point, but this is so typical of Harry and his left-leaning debate strategy.
Yeah, and his face, like he was so overwhelmed that they were giving him real-time examples and citing, okay, we have Hillary Clinton, we have Tim Walz, we have Kamala Harris, and even if they weren't flat out using the word Hitler or Nazi, they were certainly making those, sort of inferences or even when they had, what was it? Was it Madison Square Garden? Where like, guess who else held a rally here back in the day? Hitler. Well, how many other performers and comedians and, musicians have performed at Madison Square Garden? Why is that comparison never drawn to them?
And well, you know who else drinks water? Hitler. Oh. You ever think about that? Like, that's about how much sense it makes. It's so silly. And I mean, if the left can't acknowledge that this is coming from the top down quite a bit, then why is the voting base so rabidly violent and so comfortable saying these kinds of things? I know we're going to get into the No Kings rally later, but having school teachers and this older lady who was interviewed about Charlie Kirk, and she said, I'm glad he's dead. He's Hitler. Hitler is dead. That's what she said. Those were her words. So it's like that carries weight to it, because all of a sudden you're adding these little data points into this equation in their head that justifies the worst possible things. They're like, Nazi, disagree with, equals they should be dead. And then, like, how do any of us that speak out of the political correct turn, how are we supposed to feel if we agree in large part with people that are getting targeted, have been murdered, and have been tried to be murdered? That means that those same people would celebrate our death. So if it's not coming from the top down, why isn't the Democrat leadership checking their own base then? Because their base has a problem with violence, but it so clearly is coming from the top down. It's placated by them. So I think it's so cheap, and they're masters of doing this. It's, you throw a rock and hide your hands, and then not only are you hiding your hands, you're then accusing them of doing exactly that to you. So it's just this really, really good kind of sleight of hand that they play. And they will punch you in the face and then expect you to initiate the apology or the makeup. They're like, well, you should probably calm down. I just punched you. Why can't you calm down? It's like, in what world does that make sense? Only in a super hyper insulated, entitled world where you're not used to and you never want to be around differing opinions, period. And that's crazy. That's not an America that anyone should want to live in.
Crazy. Shawn, RJ Davis says, look at the state of the White House demolition right now. What a disgrace. There's a ballroom being built. Any response to that?
Yeah, I would say take a look back at how many times the White House has been gutted. Not sure if you're familiar with the history, but it didn't exist as it stands today with the West Wing, the East Wing, and all of the other additions that were made to the White House. Those were done by presidents over time. There was even one president, I believe it was Taft, who built the Oval Office in the shape of an oval. And, no one was outraged by that at that time. And then there was another that added the East Wing and another that added the West Wing. But and even one who completely demolished the entire interior and rebuilt from the ground up. I mean, they took the White House down to the studs and rebuilt. And then the last thing that I would add is like everyone's commentary on this in terms of like the government is shut down and there's no money for this and there's no money for that. But Trump's building a $250 million ballroom. He's paying for it. You're not. I'm not.
Privately funded.
Privately funded, $250 million. And look, other presidents have done this before. This is not unprecedented. It's only unprecedented
when it's
because the mainstream media's narrative wants it to be that this is unprecedented. It is not a disgrace that we're building onto the White House. This has been done by many presidents in the past, and I would encourage you to take a look at it.
RJ says, hey, I'm Canadian, so it doesn't really affect me. Release the Epstein files. Well, thank you for your commentary that you have no rebuttal to, RJ.
But I think it's kind of an amazing troll, you know, because they're always accusing Trump of like destroying the country and democracy. And the fact that he's doing like demo at the White House is just like chef's kiss, you know, that's driving them insane. So, and then the fact that he's paying for it. So Trump is like a master of putting out optics that could that give the media a perfect narrative to latch onto and to make him look bad. And then he always has this like backstop at the end where like, oh, it turns out he's paying for it, or it turns out there's tons of precedent for it, or, you know, so it's like it's interesting that in the last 10 years now, since he's been running for office since 2015, they still haven't figured him out really. They like kind of fall right into his like rhetorical traps every time. Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
And
let's take a quick ad break, and then we'll get into all of the Taylor of it all. So, as the holidays approach,
what you mean is
always get what you need to personalize your home with Wayfair. You can shop holiday decor for every room in the house, whether it's Christmas trees, wreaths, or other inflatables for the front yard. Wayfair is your one-stop shop. You can even refresh your guest room with new bedding, linens, throw pillows, accent chairs for way less if you have family coming into town. You can make holiday hosting a breeze with quality cookware that will wow just about any guest. I love Wayfair. Like I told you guys, I did some Wayfair shopping. I'm going to do a little more shopping this week. I got a new carpet for my living room because, you know, I have dogs and I have to get carpets often because when you have, well, I guess the dogs are starting to settle down. They're not puppies anymore. So I'm now getting to like invest in pieces. And so I've been investing in cute little items for my living room and just for the apartment overall. Even this new plant. Remember, everyone's like, oh my God, Zach, I love the new plant. I got this on Wayfair. I'm telling you, Wayfair is your one-stop shop. From beddings and bath basics, kids' rooms, home decor, kitchen essentials, living room items. They have everything. There's something for every style in every home, no matter your space or budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your home goals this holiday season with endless inspiration for every space and every budget. For all your season must-haves, from furniture and holiday decor to appliances and cookware, it's all in one convenient place because hosting just got a whole lot easier with Wayfair. Get organized, refreshed, and get ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right, let's talk all things Taylor Swift. She has her new album. Her new album is officially here, and people are thinking that she has officially jumped the boat and has fully embraced becoming MAGA, because in Life of a Showgirl, she talks about wanting to get married. She talks about having kids. People think that father figure is a bit of a groomer's song. So, Shawn, I know you're a big Swiftie, but what are your thoughts on Taylor Swift suddenly, you know, being positioned as MAGA?
I don't know if you guys can see these, but these are all my signed Taylor Swift CDs, and I keep them right next to my MAGA hats, my signed MAGA hats. And I will just tell you, I think that this is the funniest story that I've heard in all of 2025. Yeah, I mean, I pulled up just to look. Like wish list, she talks about, you know, when she said that she doesn't believe in marriage, she was lying. She wants, you know, she wants to make the block look like her and Travis Kelce, and she wants the world to leave her alone, which is so funny because I jump immediately to this like comedic skit about the difference between Republicans and Democrats and how the Republicans just want to be left alone, like stay out of my business, get away from me, smaller government. This is my view on it, is that if wanting to get married and have kids and have a basketball hoop in your front, in your driveway, and you want your kids to run around in their fenced in yard and feel safe, if that is MAGA, then I guess Taylor Swift is MAGA. But my viewpoint on this actually holistically is that I actually think Taylor Swift, for the most part, has been relatively conservative her entire life. She grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, small town on a farm, on a Christmas tree farm. And she really didn't talk about politics up until the Marsha Blackburn race, which is the one thing that she decided to speak up about. And from that point forward, she kind of has stuck with the Democrats. But I think if you really were to sit down and have a discussion with her, she probably would be right-leaning. Again, she's a billionaire, self-made. What she has come out and stood out for are women's rights and gay rights, which are things that I think all three of us stand for. I would still consider myself MAGA. So I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of her lyrics that have come out in this album, yeah, I think that she's been more outspoken and forward about things that she wants, and it's for the audience to interpret what that means.
I mean, listen, people are just mad that she doesn't want to be a single sad cat lady for the rest of her life. And I think at this point they need to like fuck off. But so wish list, here's the exact lyric that people are fixating on. She says, and this is in reference to Travis Kelce, her fiance, because guess what? She's in the process of getting married. She says, I just want you, have a couple kids, got a whole block looking like you. And this is what people interpreted eugenics as racist because, yeah, eugenics, because a whole block looking like you. So she just wants to live in a white neighborhood. And then they're now positioning her as a trad wife, which I don't know. When you're a wife, aren't you just like, aren't all wives kind of traditional? Like it's a traditional, I don't know. I guess now you have
like all stay at home type of marriages.
Yeah, but she's not a stay-at-home type of person.
There's no chance.
Well, I feel like there's a difference between Taylor the person and Taylor the brand, and I think the more important conversation is Taylor the brand. And I think once you get a certain amount of success, specifically money, and you have things to lose, you stop becoming Republican and Democrat unless you are actually a true believer, which I don't think she is. Once you reach a certain point of success where you have so much to lose, you are essentially riding the political correctness wave. And she can see that the tide has also turned a little bit, or quite a bit, away from like, woke HR girl energy that we had for the entire Biden administration and the Obama administration. It's kind of turned away from that. Lana has kind of resurrected this like new Americana, but like still being proud of your country and loving the American aesthetic without, going like full gung-ho, GOP or whatever. So I think Taylor as a brand, she doesn't give a flying F about really any of it unless it's going to be affecting her personal brand or money. But also she's grown up, you know what I mean? She was a kid like when she started. So I think it's kind of silly that, but also she's developed and she's built this fan base. Okay. She's built this fan base of like, I'm that bad girl. I just have my cat at home. I don't need no man. I'm going to write a song about every guy that potentially does me wrong, which is valid. That's a whole brand she built herself. Like, I think that's totally valid. But like, you're going to get eaten by your own because that's kind of the nature of building fandoms like that, because then they're going to feel personally attacked by you making different choices, So I feel like hence the Swifties.
But again, she's not even doing anything that to me is overtly like, I mean, let's go through her track record for a second, right? So the only time she came out, and this was in the Miss Americana documentary, and this was about the 2018 midterm elections. And, who was the representative that she was upset with, Shawn?
Marsha Blackburn, running in Tennessee.
Yeah, and then she came out in 2020, and that's the first time that she really endorsed, really told people who she wanted them to vote for politically. And then this most recent election, she went and endorsed Kamala Harris, which I personally don't think, Shawn, you're a big Swiftie. You probably, would interpret this better than I would. But I personally thought that her endorsement of Kamala Harris wasn't even genuine. People were just upset with her for not actually saying anything about
baked endorsement. It was, I mean, it really was half-baked. It was not, I mean, you looked at all of the celebrities who came out to endorse her. I mean, Beyonce, Cardi B, everyone who came out to endorse Kamala Harris, and Taylor Swift was like, I'm busy, I'm doing my thing, like, here's a post. That I guarantee was not written by her. It was written by her publicist, who is famous in and of herself. I did not take this as a sincere endorsement. I took it as her fan base was part of her fan base was pressuring her. Here's the thing too, like the size of her fan base, you have to understand, there are Twitter accounts that are like Swifties for Trump, and they make memes about like half of her fan base voted for Trump. Her fan base is just that big that half of them support Trump. So she kind of is caught between a rock and a hard place. And I think that endorsement was half-baked. That's my opinion on it.
I agree.
I think it was half-baked too. Just like the like Beyonce, when she went out and spoke for like 2 seconds, 2 minutes, she looked like she didn't want to be there. She looked completely over, having to even participate. Whereas before, like Hillary Clinton, look at how many people came out and performed for Hillary Clinton to help get her voted into office. Yeah.
Yeah. And how funny is it that after Beyonce did that performance or speech rather for Kamala, she swore off ever.
Oh, did we just lose him?
Oh,
or did I lose you guys? Am I there?
No, I think he may have some connection issues. We'll wait for him to come back in. But I mean, also going through Taylor's track record, like we also have, she had her song Only the Young, which was encouraging people to go out and vote, but it wasn't a direct endorsement of anyone. And then we had You Need to Calm Down in 2019, which was majorly LGBT. It was all the letters LGBTQ plus. You had everybody. You had trans people, you had gay people, you had the whole rainbow out there.
Yeah. So what I really think is, like, if you bake this down and if you really break it down, and you look at it, her two issues that she leaned to the Democrats on were women's rights and gay rights. And aside from those things, look, you have people who support women's rights and gay rights on the right also. And this is where you get, the narrative is, well, women were going to be locked up at home and the gays were going to be put in internment camps. I'm still waiting for them to come and pick me up. Like, I've packed my bags. I'm ready to go.
Gay camp? Yeah.
But like, this is a narrative that the left has pushed for a long time, is that the right is anti-woman and anti-gay. I would say that the right is for anti-transing your kids, but other than that, everyone on the right we've pretty much gotten to a point where everything on the right is common sense, moderately accepted. So yeah, her two big issues were women's rights, and in the Marsha Blackburn race, her issue was women's rights. And it was because Taylor Swift was being stalked, had stalkers and people threatening her. And Taylor Swift was pushing for a more, I'm not sure what you want to call it, like concrete policy platform to protect people like her.
Understandably, right? When you have people that are coming at you and your safety is in jeopardy, yeah, you're going to want to speak out about that.
Yeah. So understood on the women's rights thing, understood. Go for it with the gay rights thing. But I'm also over here on the right pushing for gay rights too. So, but when we break it down, look, like the left says that trad wives are a slippery slope to fascism. Clean eating is a slippery slope to fascism. I'm not sure if you saw, I made this video the other day. Interestingly enough, a girl who went to the same high school as me is a content creator on the exact opposite side of the spectrum. And it's hysterical because everything slides into fascism. So this concept of trad wife content, they don't like because it pushes, gender norms, and gender norms are dangerous and they slide us into fascism, evidently.
Yeah, I'm a Lana stan.
Look at what they did to Lana Del Rey. She gets married and she happens to have a more, manly man who likes camo and probably leans a lot more conservative. And she's always kind of been America proud. Like she's always, she had her song National Anthem, which was like on her big breakout album. Like Lana's always kind of leaned a little pro-America.
That's her whole aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's also crazy that pro-America makes you like racist and fascist. It's like what you can't take pride in the country that you live in. Like people would rather take pride in Mexico while they live here in, the US. It's crazy to me. Go ahead, David.
They're literally, Lana has always been very like Americana. That's like central to her aesthetic. But what's fascinating to me is that this is literally the same thing they did to Germany post World War II, but we just didn't have a Holocaust here. They're like making us so guilty by simple association of being American or white or Christian or right leaning that they want to completely shame you into silence. Like try waving a German flag in Germany. Like Germans will rip it out of your hands and like throw it away. There's that famous video of Angela Merkel waving somebody next to her, waving a German flag at a political rally, and she grabs it and pulls it down because it's considered too nationalist, right? That's where we are headed.
It's happening in England too. It's happening in England.
Yeah. And in America, yeah, exactly. They're trying to get rid of the Union Jack everywhere. They're trying to take it off the flagpoles and the light poles everywhere. And then in America, especially with Benson Boone too, like now it's kind of tapped in. I also wanted to touch on the fact that Taylor was talking about women's issues in 2018. Everyone was talking about women's issues in 2018. It was like Me Too. So again, I feel like that kind of taps into the whole like her brand always being like on whatever's happening without being too extreme about anything. So she's just always been safe. She's just always been safe, I think, with her music and everything. But so the point being that they're trying to shame us as if we have this collective guilt in the United States the same way that like Germans in Germany do, which there's an argument that I don't believe in collective guilt, period. But still, it's like we don't even have the historical events to back that up. So the fact that they want us so ashamed of our own country, even aesthetics wise, is embarrassing. And it's not working. It's obviously backfired.
Exactly. And people, I feel like are so tired of it, but also at the same time, you have people you have this loud minority that's still going out there and, marching with their No Kings protest, which we survived yet another No Kings protest. And I feel like at this point we've gotten the king. He's not, He's no longer standing because he never was appointed. I feel like if you're going to have a No Kings protest and you want to march for abolishing the monarchy, maybe you can start in the UK. But were either of you at the No Kings protest?
I was not. I actually was at it. I was doing a local door knocking event to try and get our candidate here in Charlotte elected for a mayoral race. But I did attend.
You mean you were actually doing something to help save democracy?
Shawn,
that's crazy.
I was door knocking.
I did that's exactly the same thing. I was 2 blocks away from a No Kings protest in Snohomish, and I'm managing a mayor's race up there. He's running for mayor of Snohomish, and we were door knocking in the rain as all of these other people were holding handmade signs. But yes, that's so funny.
I did go to the first one that was here in Charlotte because this is the second round, and it was I reported on the whole thing, but it was interesting to say the least. Wide variety of people, but mostly, I will tell you, I mean, even take a look at this photo that you just threw up. I'm going to say that 80% of the people are, 65 and up, white liberals marching for No Kings. It's a very interesting demographic that you see kind of repetitively in all of the photos.
It's the MSNBC viewers, That's the MSNBC viewers. It's the baby boomers that are holding on to dear life to this like neoliberal idea. And there's kind of an inverse on the right as well, which you could call like the baby boomer Fox News viewers, which are not nearly as much of a problem as the MSNBC ones, because I've never seen a 70-plus-year-old Republican talk about like, yes, get him in the neck or gut them on stage or anything like that. It's like insane to me. But a lot of these baby boomers on the left were radicals in the 70s too. So they're like, they're all about it. So to them, this is them like reliving their youth and their glory days. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing for sure. And what did it accomplish?
That's the point, right? So over this weekend, we had 7 million people, a reported 7 million people that marched in this recent No Kings protest. We had the first No Kings protest, which was back in June. That's when I thought we had saved democracy and ended fascism, but apparently it only got worse. But so in June, there were 5 million people that marched. This past weekend, we had 7 million people that marched. And they're saying that, like, this is huge. 7 million people showed up for this No Kings protest. It's incredible. The numbers have gone up. You got 2 million more. But to put that into context, we had 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump, and we had 75 million people that voted for Kamala Harris. So when you put in even the higher number of 7 million, that's still less than 10% of people that voted for Kamala Harris that are out there marching in the streets right now. And so many people are trying to say, oh, well, what about the conservatives? Why aren't they, why aren't they march, or why didn't they march when Joe Biden was elected? Or why aren't they marching now if they're unhappy with Trump? And it's like, well, because you don't need to sure, you have the right to protest. Nobody
elected. They were democratically elected. And so was Donald Trump. What I find is hysterical is that the side that averted democracy and handed Kamala the nomination are the ones who are marching about a king. Meanwhile, let me remind you, if there are any kings or queens in our democracy, it's Chuck Grassley and Mitch McConnell, who've been in office for over 40 years. It's
Lindsey Graham,
Maxine Waters, who's been in office for 34 years. It's Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office for 38 years. Chuck Schumer, who's been in office for 26 years. I mean, let's talk about kings and queens. I mean, these people have been term limits. Hello, you want to talk about kings and queens? These people have been in office for 40 years. Donald Trump,
and I would gladly trade 1 for 1 of the oldest Republicans in office and the oldest Democrats. I have no problem with that. I'll trade you Lindsey for Pelosi and Schumer for Graham. No problem. I have no loyalties to those treacherous, old.
It's really, I mean, they can't walk through the halls of Congress, let alone vote. I mean, I can't remember what her name was, but they had to, she's not in office anymore, but they had to, in a wheelchair, wheel her in to vote. So if we want to talk about kings and quits, literally, she had no idea where she was. It's elder abuse, and it's a similar thing to what happened with Biden. So no, we weren't going to march in the streets over democratically elected Joe Biden. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. He won the primary, he won the general. And Donald Trump won the primary and he won the general. Like, there are no kings. Congratulations. You've achieved nothing.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi broke the crown. We ended it. We say there are no more kings.
It's just plastic. You could that's the only thing I could think of when she was doing that.
Comparing it to Lindsay and
Katie Heron. Yeah. It's just cold hard plastic.
Mother of Palpalons says MAGA doesn't want a king either. So what's the point?
Yeah,
what's
no
their
kidding.
point? Nobody wants a king. Nobody's like, yes, we want a king. We want a dictator.
There's a lot of the left and part of the right, but mainly the left now, is going through like a severe identity crisis. You know what I mean? Because they have their most exciting part of the left right now is their most radical base, like the Zoran Mamdanis. Those are the people that are getting to mobilize voters and mobilize youth and actually change positions and seats of power. And then you have the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the more neoliberals and ex-neocons and warmongers and all of that. Those people on both sides, they're dead. Like, it's not their time anymore. That's why they're so desperate, holding on to dear life and getting more desperate and doing crazier things. But there's a lot of energy on the left, clearly, that they're trying to focus in some kind of way. I don't really put it past them because it wasn't a bad showing. A lot of people did show up, even in Idaho. I don't know if you guys saw, like, Idaho had like tens of thousands of people show up, I think, in Boise. So I don't want to undersell what this could be, honestly, because if that same number or even a fraction of that number of people went a little bit more 2020 with it and got more violent, I mean, that could literally cause civil unrest that would, teeter on civil war. So I feel like we still need to be able to have some kind of opening for those people, because a lot of the people that showed up to that protest, especially young people, they might be well-intentioned. You know what I mean? They've only heard one side of the story, and they view Trump as this, dictatorial, tyrannical monster. He doesn't do himself favors with his sense of humor and all of that, which I love because I think it's funny and I can take a joke, but he doesn't do himself favors with that because they have a conniption fit every time he says anything. But we still need to leave the door cracked for them, because we also need people. We need young people that are animated and willing to get out there and do the work of political change. So I think they're just kind of desperate and kind of flailing right now, just politically wise. And I think what happened after Charlie Kirk really worried them, because it animated so many people and disgusted so many people, even on their side, much less even what happened to Charlie, but the reaction to it nationally. So I think they're just they're flailing a little bit. They're trying to figure out anything. So they just need this big show of look at these optics. All these people hate Trump and hate your voters and all that. You guys couldn't get half these people to show up, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and they can't even accept the win, right? We just had, they were all bitching about free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, and then their king win, and our king went and freed Palestine, and they're still fucking pissed about it.
Yeah, I'll see. I'm very happy about what's going on there. I'll believe it when I see it last for more than a few days. But I am very pleased that things are going in a positive direction there. But yeah, I mean, Trump, there's the joke that Trump could literally cure cancer or land on Mars himself, and people would be like, I don't know about that. It seems sus. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, so there's not much good he can do for them.
The last thing that I'll say about the No Kings thing is that when you actually break down the right and the left and what their ideologies are, the ideology of the left is actually to concentrate power to the top. The ideology of the right is to reverse concentration of power and move more power down into your local government, your state governments, and then you work your way up. Your federal government should actually be, the president should be the last person who you're worried about voting for when you go in to vote on, November 4th on election day. You should actually be way more concerned about who's running your county, who's running your state, because those are the people who have, in theory, should have way more power over your everyday life. So it's just so interesting to me that the left is pushing this narrative. Meanwhile, their policy and ideology suggests the exact opposite. It's concentrate as much power to the top as you possibly can.
Yep. But I mean, we'll see what the next No Kings rally brings. I will say, I didn't hear much about this past No Kings rally. I live in downtown LA, and normally this is where they love to march. And this one was different. The businesses didn't even get boarded up, at least not where I'm at. I'm not close by City Hall, which is where they normally centralize. But there wasn't a ton of traffic jams. I was actually surprised for them to be more people showed up and we went from 5 million to 7 million. And I'm great, you got 2 more million. And you're still less than 10% of the people that actually voted for Kamala Harris. So I don't know where the other, 70 million people are that they claim, want to save democracy, that are not out there protesting in the streets right now. To me, it's just they don't know what they're protesting. And also the whole messaging of No Kings, we don't have a fucking king. And not only that, but the president does what the president does. He's allowed to sign executive orders. He's allowed to make decisions. He's allowed to build a fucking ballroom if he wants to build a fucking ballroom. It's, he's in charge of that.
Balances to, we have exactly place in the event that he reaches too far. It really is just, it's a really bad marketing message, because to the people in the middle who actually matter, look, these 7 million people who are marching, no one's going to change their minds. They're marching, and no one's going to change their minds. So the marketing message of No Kings and this whole big thing to me is actually just really poor, like general election management from the left, because you're not convincing anyone in the middle that your ideology is logical.
Yeah, because if Trump wanted to be a king, you better believe, one, he's not a king. And if he wanted to, because that's the argument that they're making, is he wants to be a king, he would not have allowed for 7 million people to be marching in the streets in opposition of him. And what does he do? He laughs at it and he's like, okay, let me, throw some shit on Harry Sisson and move on with my life. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. He's not sending ICE agents after people that are protesting right now. He's not sending the National Guard after the people that are protesting right now because they want to do their little march and they want to feel important and they want to post on their Instagram story that they're saving democracy and they can tell their kids 40 years from now, I marched in the streets to save democracy, whatever. Exactly. If that makes you feel good about yourself, then feel good about yourself. But then guess what? You went to bed, you woke up the next morning and you live in a free country still.
Yeah. And I want to focus in on one of those words, which is march, which does imply movement. So I am very pleased that they're exercising. You know what I mean? I love that for them.
Maha.
So if you guys want to do that again, maha, all the way, baby. Okay. We all here are very proud of you. RFK, I know, is proud of you. So I think they should probably add maybe a push-up challenge to the march next time, if they want to make a real difference. But it's silly, but I think, like I said, I just think they're flailing right now and in search of identity. They're literally going through an identity crisis right now, and it'll be funny to see what their haircut comes out as.
They're terrible at marketing. They also had, defund the police, and then nobody could actually explain what that meant. They're like, no, that doesn't mean abolish. Well, some people did say abolish the police, and other people were like, defund the police, and nobody could really define what those things even meant. You just want no police at all. You want just, social workers going around fighting crime. You want Batman to come out of the shadows, and he's going to come and save us. It makes no sense with these slogans.
And that's intentional. That's completely intentional. They keep language vague like that so that you can't attack it back, but then it can still be used as a sword when they need it to be. And that's straight out of Saul Alinsky's book and Rules for Radicals and Marxists. And yeah, exactly. And it's right. That's exactly where it's from. It's a way of keeping, underhanded, subversive language and making it really amoebus so you can't really pin it down to anything. Yeah, so it's just typical of them.
Are being funded. By the way, these protests are being funded by the people who are the actual kings, the George Soroses of the world, who are funding this with the intention.
The Walmart, what's her name? The Walmart heiress. She's the one that funded the first one. Remember?
Yeah, the people who are funding this. These are the people who, by the way, the whole concept is. If you want to get really, I highly recommend Rules for Radicals. It's a book. Go read it because it's what switched for me. Because I used to think to myself, why would Democrats push for these policies? It's going to destroy the country. And I had not understood, it had not clicked for me that in order to rein in a new system, you have to get all of the people who are currently in the system, you have to get a majority of them to agree that the current system doesn't work. So it's really not logical. It's actually just about taking things apart piece by piece with no strategic vision.
It's demolition.
As the castle crumbles, then we can, earn in a new leadership system, and that very well may be an oligarchy. So highly recommend that as a book. But it is, to David's point, I mean, it's the objective is to just destroy.
And they've been using those strategies of deception for the longest time. The best anecdote from that would be Alinsky encouraging these college students. They were going to go protest Bush Sr. at one of his rallies during the election, and they wanted to show up and protest the war. And Alinsky encouraged them instead show up as supporters, but dress up in Klan uniforms. So the optics they had was that all these Klan supporters came to support Bush when really they were all hard leftists, which brilliant, politically brilliant, evil and deceptive, but politically brilliant. And that's, if you notice, those are we've had 10,000 replications of that on grand scales. You know what I mean? You can go from anyway from J6 to Charlottesville to so many things where they're just trying to create this optical boogeyman that they can then create a reaction to. It's the freaking Hegelian dialectic, and we've been in it for
super deep. all of that to say, like, that was a lot of super deep in the woods. Like, you really have to get really involved in this to understand what they're really trying to do. All of that to say, they're really bad at marketing right now. But know that what they're doing has a purpose, and the purpose is to either keep that 10% of their base super riled up and scared. Whatever their end game is, they're bad at marketing. They have no message, so they have to keep their base riled up and worried that something is going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, and that's all they do with all the media that's put out there. It's all this rage bait to get you angry and upset. And when you watch so many of these videos, because I know you tried to do this at the last No Kings protest, but when you see conservatives that come out and interview people at these different protests, is they don't really know why they're there. They don't, like, Trump is a king. Okay, well, what is he doing that's like a king? And they're like, well, he's dismantling democracy. Okay, you're using all the talking points, but you're not actually saying anything. ICE is taking US is kidnapping people. And then it's like, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to kidnap somebody when you're just sending them back to the country that they came from because they're here illegally. Like, you're not really kidnapping them if you're sending them home. And also, if they had, like, the whole ICE thing, that's all people are fixated on right now, because tariffs is a dying topic and Palestine is a dying topic. And now they've hyper focused on ICE. But again, they don't even understand or know. Like, even seeing Don Lemon going around right now and him talking about how when you are here illegally, that's not a crime because it's a misdemeanor. And I was like, what? Like, him trying to make that argument about how it's semantics and how, people are so focused on being here illegally, and he acknowledges that you're here illegally, but it's a misdemeanor, so it shouldn't hold much weight.
That pissed me off. Oh, that pissed me off so bad. I'll tell you why it actually pissed me off is because, and him and a lot of other corporate media type people, when they go, especially do street interviews or things like that, when they're trying to get a soundbite, they assume their voters and their supporters are so stupid. He assumed that Mexican or that Latino lady that he was talking to didn't know a thing about what was going on. And she's like, wait, it's not illegal? And he's like, yeah, that's my whole point, trying to encourage her to be like, oh, it's not illegal, then why are they going after them? As if she's just some idiot. And really, she was much more well-informed than he is, at least much more honest about what it is. I'm sure Don Lemon knows this. He just can't express it because he has political reasons for doing things. But that made me so angry. It's like, how stupid do you think we are? Very, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff, like, gets me so angry, because it's like, you do not respect your voter base or this country, the people in this country whatsoever. Even the ones you claim to advocate for. Like, you're talking about immigration and illegal immigration to a Latino person with an accent, meaning she probably wasn't born here. It's like, come on.
And you think that you're smarter than her. It is so patronizing. I mean, but they also do, the number of people that try to troll me, and the number one thing that they say to me is, watch yourself, because ICE is going to come pick you up one day. And I'm like, oh, so because I'm Hispanic, like, I have to live in fear that ICE is going to come get me? Like, it's insane to me that these people really believe these things, but it's because they've instilled that fear. Like, I have family members and friends and, people of older generations that are Hispanic that are like, I'm not scared. I have an ID. I have documentation. They're not just coming into the streets the way that people are being told that they are in the media. And it's deliberately intended to deceive.
Yeah. And it's like the soft bigotry of low expectations, literally, on the left. They're like, you're brown, okay, immigrant. You're this, okay, you're that. Like, they have to categorize you in the most, like, baser identity characteristics.
Look at what Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, where she talked about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl, and she's just like, go get some cocoa butter, rub it on your face, and go to the Super Bowl, and they're not gonna know who's Hispanic and who's not. That was wild to me.
Wow, I didn't know that one. That's a new
she said to put cocoa. Yeah, I occasionally catch some clips on the View. And And they're trying to be a bit more progressive at the moment. They're saying that conservatives are just too scared to come on The View. And I love that there was a trend of conservatives online that shared their emails where their booker is denying them coming on the show, or, you know, all the conservatives that have been willing to come on The View, but that don't get that opportunity. But recently they did just have on Cheryl Hines, just to kind of bring the conversation back to this cultural conversation about Taylor Swift and celebrities, and how if you talk about wanting to get married and have kids, you step 1 inch out of line with the left dogma, then suddenly you're deemed MAGA. And they've kind of done the same thing to Cheryl Hines. And I thought, you know, she's doing her press tour right now for her new book that comes out November 15th. It's called Unscripted. And I thought that she handled herself relatively well. I mean, nobody really wanted to talk about her book. They just wanted to beat her up about her husband, RFK Jr. But what did you guys think of some of her recent interviews? Shawn, we'll start with you.
Well, I thought that she made some really great points in the interview with The View, which the other members of the panel did not really want to address. But and I can't remember her name. She's sitting directly, if I'm looking at the photo, directly to the right of Cheryl. I can't remember her name, but she said something to the effect
Sunny?
of, like, yes. She goes something to the effect of, like, that RFK is the least qualified HHS director that we've ever had. And there's people behind it. He's not a doctor. He's not a doctor. And if you look back through, even just most recently, Obama had
an economist,
a director of HHS who, his background was in the economy. He was an economist. He had absolutely no business in overseeing HHS, but that's, you know, the position that he got. And you can make that argument. This person's not a doctor. That person's not a doctor. At the end of the day, these people need to act as CEOs, and they need to bring in all of the information from the leading experts in each of these fields, and then they need to field that and make decisions based on that. But RFK has spent 30 years of his life in the courtroom, actually arguing for these things, either, you know, suing the government or suing companies who were practicing in a way that affected the health of the American people. So to me, if anyone, I mean, to say that he was the least qualified is one, I mean, it's just asinine, but none of them seems to care or want to hear anything that she had to say. And it was, I think, just, an indicator as to what is the point of conservatives. Like, why would I go on this show to make an argument with you if you're not going to listen to any of the things that I have to say? So I don't think that they were very fair to her. But I thought that she made great and valid points, and I'm sure that she just wanted to talk about her book.
I know, poor thing, right?
She knew that these were going to be the questions that they threw at her, but I think she made a really good point. I don't remember if it was on Megyn Kelly or on Meghan McCain's show, Citizen McCain, but she said this in one of those interviews where she said, you know, because I think they asked her, did Hollywood turn their back on you once you decided that you were going to stand by your husband in his decision to run for office and then his endorsement of President Trump? And obviously that was hard for her because so I first met Cheryl Hines at their home when they were hosting a debate watch party, or Cheryl was hosting it. Bobby wasn't home, but she was hosting it, or she not specifically was hosting it, but there was a PAC that was hosting it on behalf of Pete Buttigieg, and she allowed them to use their home and their den to host this watch party and to set up food in their backyard. And so I was invited to that and I attended, but it was just so interesting because she is such a Democrat and such a liberal. And this was such a hard decision for her to really accept Bobby deciding to side with President Trump. But the reality is the Democrats completely rejected him. He had to run as an independent because they would not allow him to run as a Democrat because obviously they wanted brain dead Joe Biden to run for president again. And then when they didn't, they decided to insert and place Kamala Harris without anybody ever voting for her because in the last primary she participated in, she fucking bombed. That was an atomic bomb that like was not, nobody wanted her. So everyone that yeah, everyone now that's rubbing coochies for Kamala, I don't understand where all of that love was back the last time that she was trying to run for president. But anyway, my point is they asked her about Hollywood and Hollywood rejecting her. And she said, yes, they did reject me. And she's like, the craziest thing now is that all of these people in Hollywood were all about health. They were about removing food dyes. They were about eating organic, getting rid of glyphosate, big pharma. All of these things, right, that Bobby has always been about, that RFK has always fought for. And then now that he happens to be part of the Trump administration, suddenly they want to drink all the Tylenol, and they want suddenly food dyes aren't as bad anymore, and MAGA is dangerous. It's insane.
And it's so like shamelessly partisan. It's like Sonny is, I would say, the most dishonest of the entire cast. I would say Whoopi is more stupid. Whoopi's just like dumb and then like so partisan. Like remember when I forget what point of the election it was, but she started talking about Jill Biden and she's like, oh, Jill's an amazing doctor. You didn't know? Oh, she's a great doctor. Bitch, what patient has she ever seen? Like the fact that she didn't even know that Jill isn't an actual doctor. It was like a doctorate of childhood education or something that I'm pretty sure like was a gift from a university. Like what is it called when you get like nominated to have like a fake degree or whatever? But it's just like how do people have completely lost all trust that we're even gonna get any semblance of objectivity on that show, or like anyone treating someone slightly on the right fair. And Cheryl Hines handled herself excellently. Like she really, really is like, I mean, the girl is media trained. She's been an actress for years, and that clearly showed up in that interview. She held her own. She was really calm. She hit her points. And she still came across as likable and like joyful. And I think that is so important because like think about how it was less about, I mean, obviously we talked about this, the tragedy of Charlie and all of that, but the reaction to it is what really created this like groundswell of people being like, what is going on? We need change. This is wrong. So I always kind of have that in the back of my mind when things are going on. How we react to it is very important because that's sending a message to a lot of people that we may agree with and some that we may not agree with. But it's so important in those moments to like act with, you know, morals, be true to yourself, be authentic, and also just represent well, you know, like don't come across as angry or vindictive or spiteful or petty. And I think she did a great job with that. And without getting too much into the weeds with them on it, not that they could even go, you know, tit for tat in the weeds with her because they just had their like pre-rehearsed talking points. It was so hilarious. And yeah, like you said, Bobby Kennedy has decades of experience of dealing with doctors and pharmacists and scientists and drug manufacturers and all of that, and the court systems that go along with that. So I would say he's arguably like in the top 10 percentile of the last like 10 or 15 HUD secretaries we've had. So, and beyond that, like his moral compass, like why he was even around the health industry was all about helping kids and autism and making sure there isn't vaccine injuries. And that just has a lot of money in it. So that's why people are attacking him. Like literally follow the money. It's because Pfizer doesn't want to lose money. It's because, you know, Moderna doesn't want to lose money. So the fact that we had somebody that actually came into the medical field from like a moral place and like wanting to do good and not just make money. I mean, I'm so grateful that Bobby Kennedy is in the spot that he's in. And he deserves it. Ah! Sorry.
Yeah.
Trigger warning next time. God.
Really quick, just to add, just so that people may or may not know this, but RFK sued Trump back in the day.
Yeah.
Over a development that Trump was trying to develop on land, and RFK sued him and said, he sued him to stop him from developing, and he was successful in his lawsuit. And by the way, during that time, Cheryl and RFK, Bobby, wanted to go down to Palm Beach. And RFK, the story goes, RFK was like, well, I'm not buying flights for all of the kids and the grandkids. And Cheryl called and got a flight on Trump Force One on one of Trump's jets from New York down to Palm Beach while they were still in the middle of the lawsuit. And RFK ended up prevailing, and Trump was not able to develop on the land. because RFK felt that it was, from an EPA standpoint, that there was going to be an impact on the health of people around. So even before all of this, he was suing Trump and had the health of the American people at the forefront of his objectives. So
I love that.
Always has been. Always. I brought up this photo of Rachel Levine. Is that her name?
Yeah, Rachel Levine. Yeah.
She was the former health secretary in the Biden administration. So this is who we had before, and now we have jacked and pretty savvy, medically savvy, again, because when you have to go into court and present these cases, you need what's called factual evidence. You need to present this before a jury, and in order to win all of these cases, you have to present this information in a way that's digestible and understandable, in a way that you understand, because you're proving it to a judge and you're proving it to a jury. He's won numerous cases. I believe he also was suing Facebook because they were deplatforming people, which we now have discovered was linked to the Biden administration, which is just crazy that we lived under that authoritarian regime, and yet now people want to march for no kings in this current administration, which is kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
Full circle. We had those examples of speech being silenced under the last administration, and now we're marching, that same side is marching for no kings. It's full circle.
And now, people hate health because Bobby happens to be, moving this MAGA movement that, now it's attached to Trump. So therefore, anything that comes from it is clearly, bad and racist. Like now suddenly it's MAGA to eat protein.
Protein is fascist. It's very fascist coded. Yes. Yeah, specifically whey protein.
Being skinny is fascist now too. I don't know if you guys heard, but skinny.
Have I not heard? Yeah.
Yes. So every clean food and clean beauty are fascist. Everything is fascist, down to like the crystals that you buy at your local farmer's market. And I don't have very many crystals. I don't know about you guys, but evidently they're fascist too. So.
Is the anthropology rock fascist?
I assume so. Yes, I would assume.
It's too close to nature.
Yeah.
I think like it's the safe bet. If you're not sure, the safest bet is it is fascist. In fact, so yeah. I think that's the safest bet. No, I think like it is like the biggest win, because I remember when Rachel Levine was in office and she was talking about how she was lucky enough to have children and have a full family as a man and experience that full life and the joy of children and everything. And she's so lucky that she got to do that, and she got to transition in her older life. In the same breath, she was advocating for childhood transition and medicalization. So that's insane that you acknowledge how important it is for you, that you would never trade your children for the world and all of that, but you don't want to give children today that same potential and that same, oh my God, I would vote Bobby Kennedy 10,000 times over if we were actually voting for them and they weren't nominated. But like that's crazy to me. And plus, beyond it being like evil and wrong, it's just so offensively untrue. It's like a clown telling you to like stare at the sky and say it's green when it's bright ass blue, and then like we all had to like play along with it, or at least we were all encouraged to. So I'm glad that's over. I'm glad we're not living in.
It's on a decline. Studies are showing it's on a sharp decline. I'm going to say the LGB have held pretty steady, but the TQIA2 Spirit plus XYZ has been on a sharp decline in the last roughly year and a half, 2 years. It's declined significantly. So I think that we are healing from some of this.
Well, if you did watch The View this week, then you'll know that Whoopi Goldberg said that God does not make mistakes, and that the only issue are the people that are not accepting of the trans community. But it's interesting that she said God makes no mistakes, yet the argument is that God placed them in the wrong body.
Right. Yep. And the weirdest thing beyond that is like we're going into like a post-gender era now. So it's like they're not even requiring for people to be have gender dysphoria to medically transition. Like it's actually crazy. It's almost leaning more into like body modification type things, and like we're just headed towards a very like dystopian, sexless future, like genderless, weird, androgynous. And I like androgynous beauty, don't get me wrong, like when it kind of like comes as it is, but I mean, ain't nobody calling Lily Tino an androgynous beauty. That's a man, sir. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think, like, all three of us are prettier than Lily Tino would be in full regalia with her face beat within an inch of her life.
All the face shaving and surgery is wild.
And I just want someone, I know this is so off topic, but for God's sake, for our sake, can someone teach her how to do her damn hair so it doesn't look like she just came out of a slime pool every time she comes on camera? What is with like the 3 crunchy curly cues in front? It is so bad. I think she's like antagonizing people. I think it wants us to get angry because it's
Rage
like
bait, yeah.
It's like Wreck-It Ralph in a freaking wig at a restaurant being like, "It's ma'am, actually get the out of here." Like that's so annoying. Sorry, I always have Lily Tino always has to catch a stray, no matter what podcast I'm on.
Well, on that note, is there any closing thoughts before we wrap? As we wrap,
I hope that Taylor Swift, it actually was an episode on the Charlie Kirk show when her engagement was announced, and he said that he was happy for her, and the more people that we have getting married and having kids is a good thing for society, and that he mentioned, he goes, I hope that this makes her lean, further to the right. And I think that happens when you get married, you have kids. I think that that's a trend that happens a lot of times. You end up leaning a little bit further to the right. So, I mean, I think that she is. I hope that she continues to. And other than that, I would say educate yourselves where you can. Go read Rules for Radicals. It's a great place to start. It'll open your eyes to all of the things that are happening, and you'll see the people pulling the strings, playing the puppeteers. So those are final thoughts for me.
Victoria says, loving the show today. Zack, Shawn, and David are sharp, handsome, and on point. Taylor calling herself a childless cat lady no longer fits, and that ballroom is going to be magnificent.
Yes,
I hope to be there. Hopefully I get an invite there to the ballroom.
I know, same.
David,
I guess the final thought I would say is kind of piggybacking off of what he said. I think it's almost going to be less of what Taylor does and like how people react to it. Like, I think her own fans are going to get turned off by her other fans freaking out so hard about what she's doing. They're going to be like, dude, she's married and happy, so you just want her to be miserable or something, So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this is like the life of a showgirl is like the Israel-Palestine issue for Swifties right now. It's like splitting everybody. It's like so contentious. It is crazy. Like she may as well be like, I don't know, interviewing Bibi Netanyahu. It's intense right now. And I didn't get, I made a silly video saying that Taylor Swift is beautiful but not hot. And I didn't get a single Swiftie death threat. So I think they're hurting right now, guys. We should send our thoughts and prayers.
They have other priorities. They're trying to defend her MAGA values now.
Right. Or like download her song 17 different times on 5 different devices.
That too. And buy all the vinyls.
And the voice notes. Don't forget about the voice notes. Those were amazing. $5 a pop. Oh, chef's kiss, Miss Capitalism. Love that. Maybe she is MAGA. I don't know.
She's definitely a capitalist. That's for sure. She's
a
capitalist.
She's Scrooge McDuck. Okay. She's
but even as a capitalist, she is pushing the economy forward.
Wait, and I want to say one more thing though on this whole Taylor Swift thing. This whole she's sold 1 million different variants. Look at just her vinyls. She sold 8 vinyl variants. Charlie XCX sold like 16 or 18 vinyl variants and came nowhere close to what Taylor Swift can sell. So I'm sick of this whole she sells 1 million variants thing. She does, and usually I buy every single one. But even if you compare her, the other artists are doing the same.
Go off, Swiftie.
The other artists are doing the same things. And this year I'm broke, so I didn't buy any of them. So that's all I'm saying. And she's still got my streams on Apple Music. But all the other artists are doing it too. I've got all my signed CDs, all my vinyls right here. I'm loving it.
I'm dead.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you'll be back next week, and I hope to continue having these conversations every Wednesday here on No Filter. So whatever is popping off in the political world, we're going to be getting spicy and giving you all of our hot takes and breaking them down Wednesdays on No Filter. So be sure to subscribe. Give Shawn a follow at Shawn on the Right. You're Shawn on the Right everywhere, right?
Yep. Everywhere.
And then David, you can they can follow you at MericanDavid without the A, right?
Yes. MericanDavid without the A. Yeah.
Yeah. MericanDavid, but without the A. So just MericanDavid.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys. You guys can follow me at Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack and catch new episodes of No Filter with Zack Peter streaming live on YouTube and on X Monday through Friday mornings. You can also sign up for ad-free episodes and bonus episodes and our book club at No Filter All Access on Supercast. There's a link in the description below, so be sure to check that out. We just read Kamala Harris's 107 Days. So if you want a recap of that, you can get my very raw thoughts. We lost one subscriber because she did not like my opinion of Kamala Harris's 107 Days. But the book felt
probably
longer than her
107 pages.
No, it was very long because every chapter is another day leading up to the election. So we have 107 days, and then 106 days, and then 105 days.
You're brave for that.
And then 104 days, and then 103 days.
Are you serious?
And then 102 days. And then 101 days, and then 100 days.
Kill myself. Like,
there's no way.
It was wild. Yeah. Our next book will be Kevin Federline's book, and the next month we're going to be reading Cheryl Hines' book.
I am joining this book club. This sounds amazing.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Zack.
Thank you.